Hi, happy Halloween. We're getting ready and getting excited, and we're thrilled for you all to be here with us this evening for such a spectacular event. The excitement that we've heard about all across social media channels has been unbelievable, and we're so excited to be here. I'm Holland Saltzman. I'm the owner of the Novel Neighbor bookstore here in St. Louis, Missouri. This is my daughter, Sadie.
Hi.
Also a huge fan of R.L. Stine's. And so we're going to hang out with you all for about an hour-ish tonight. And we're going to hear some behind-the-scenes stories. We're going to hear about some never-heard-before stories. There's going to be a little quiz. We'll announce the winner of the Halloween contest that people have been posting. The costumes have been fabulous, both the adult and the kids' costume, but the kids are the ones who are being judged too. And we'll announce the winner tonight. And then we'll do a little introduction, and then we'll get to it. So R.L. Stine, also known as Bob Stine, has been scaring people all over the world for so many years. He has sold over 400 million books, and they've been translated into 35 languages, making him one of the best-selling authors in history. When Bob was 9, he found an old typewriter up in the attic, and that discovery changed his life. He carried it down, and he started typing stories and little jokes, and that's what started his career. He published Blind Date in the mid-'80s, which was his first horror novel for young adults, and then his popular Fear Street series, and then Goosebumps, which is where my daughter found and fell in love with all things horror and macabre and scary. These books, which were originally produced through his wife Jane's Parachute Press book packaging company, targeted the tween market. The first title, Welcome to the Dead House, was quickly followed by more novels. At one point, Stine was writing 1 or 2 books each month. Each title featured a trademark element of the series, page-turning plots, daring cliffhangers, and at the end of each chapter. Goosebumps soon became a literary phenomenon. The books became bestsellers in the United States and abroad. There's been a television series, there's been a movie, and there might be talk of another television series, but maybe we'll hear more about that tonight. When asked, why do I write these creepy books? R.L. Stine answers,
I just like to scare people.
Without further ado, welcome R.L. Stine. Okay. I think we're going to hear a little music soon.
Mm-hmm.
Alexa, stop. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my Halloween party. Hey, Slappy, turn me back. Slappy, turned me into a dummy. Look at that. I'm a dummy. What am I going to do? How am I going to do a party with a dummy? Slappy, turn me back. I got to get this guy out of here. Do you believe this guy looks at me all day long? I have him here. He looks a little younger than me. I don't know. Let's get started here. All right, a little cheap special effects. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm happy to be here tonight, and what a great time to celebrate Halloween. I hope we have some good, scary fun. Do you recognize this? I actually have that dummy of me looking at me all day long. Do you believe that? Welcome to my office. This is my office in my apartment in New York City. I spent a lot of time here, as you can imagine. And here is the Haunted Mask. How many of you know the Haunted Mask? That's the first Goosebumps TV show that we filmed. And it's my favorite of all the Halloween books that I've written. I'm most proud of the Haunted Mask. And I hope you've either seen it or read it. I'll tell you, it's about a girl named Carly Beth who wants to be scary at Halloween time because everyone's always teasing her because she's chicken. And she puts on the haunted mask to be scary, and it sticks to her skin, and she can't get it off. It tightens and tightens, and it turns her evil. Now, The Haunted Mask is the only Goosebumps book that I can think of that was actually based on something that happened in true life. It really happened to me. When my son Matt was a little guy, he was, I don't know, 5 maybe. I was watching him from the doorway. He was down on the floor trying on a green rubber Frankenstein mask. And he pulled the mask down over his head and he couldn't get it off. And I'm watching him and he was tugging. And I thought, what a great idea for a story. I should have helped him, right? I should have helped him get the mask off. I didn't win the Good Parent Award that day, but I had a great idea for a story. And I went and started writing down notes, and that became the haunted mask. So it actually happened with something real. How many of you have seen the TV show of The Haunted Mask? It's available on Netflix. All the Goosebumps shows are on Netflix right now. Well, I'll give you, here's a little behind the scenes story about when we filmed The Haunted Mask. Maybe you remember very early in the show, 2 boys are teasing Carly Beth in the lunchroom, and they give her a sandwich with a worm in it. And we were all, and she eats it. She doesn't know. So we were all set to film this scene, and they made a sandwich, and they put a plastic worm in the sandwich and brought it down to the lunchroom set to film it. We had a wonderful young actress named Catherine Long playing the part of Carly Beth. And Catherine came to us and she said, you know what? I don't think I can do this scene with a plastic worm. I think it would be much better if we use a real worm. So we said, okay, all right, we'll do that. And we went out and got a real worm and put it in the sandwich and brought the sandwich down to the set and started to film. And the 2 boys gave it to Carly Beth, and she picked it up and she bit into it and started to chew. Yuck, right? Yuck. But here's the sad part. You want to hear the really sad part? We had to shoot the scene 12 times. That's right, 12 worms. Can you imagine? Anyway, there's a little behind the scenes story about Carly Beth and the Haunted Mask, and I hope you enjoy that book. Whenever I talk to people, I like to start out by reading a poem by another author. This is a poem by Shel Silverstein. The poem is called Haunted. And the reason I like to read this poem is that it's scary and funny at the same time, which is what I try to do with my books. Here it is, Haunted by Shel Silverstein. I dare you all to go into the haunted house on Howland Hill, where squiggly things with yellow eyes peek past the wormy windowsill. We'll creep into the moonlit yard where weeds reach out like fingers, and through the rotted old front door a-squeaking on its hinges. Down the dark and whispering hall, past the musty study, up the winding staircase. Don't step on the step that's bloody. Through the secret panel to the bedroom, where we'll slide into the ragged, cobweb, dusty bed 10 people must have died in. And the bats will screech, and the spirits will scream, and the thunder will crash like a horrible dream. And we'll sing with the zombies and dance with the dead and howl at the ghost with the axe in his head. And come to think of it, what do you say we go get some ice cream instead? That's Haunted by Shel Silverstein. I really love that poem. I always like to start out with that. You know, what should we do? Here's what I'm going to give you a quiz. I have a quiz. You know, Slappy the Dummy is my most popular character. I don't know, people don't realize Slappy's real evil, but 1 million kids are going out this year dressed as Slappy. I get all these pictures of all the Slappies. Last Halloween, I gave a talk in Vancouver, Canada, and 40 kids came dressed as Slappy in the audience. I couldn't believe it. I brought them all up on stage. I looked at them and I realized I'd sold every red bow tie in Canada. I was in the wrong business. I should be in the bow tie business. Anyway, everyone loves Slappy, I think because of the 2 Goosebumps movies. He really was the star of those movies. And the newest Goosebumps book, actually Goosebumps now is called Goosebumps Slappyworld. That's how popular he is. It's now the name of the series. The brand new Goosebumps book that just came out this week is called My Friend Slappy. It's about a boy who actually likes Slappy. He likes the evil things Slappy does, which is a little strange. And we keep doing Slappy books. Here's a Slappy quiz. I'm going to read, and I won't be able to hear your answers. Usually when I do this for an audience, I can hear. But I'm going to give you a list of book titles. Some of them are real, and some of them are fake. And I want you to just shout out whether the title is real or fake. Okay? These are all Slappy titles. Let's see how many you can get. You ready? Number 1, Slappy Halloween. What do you think? Real or fake? Fake. I've never done that book. 2, Night of the Living Slappy. Fake. That's another fake. It was actually Night of the Living Dummy. Son of Slappy. What do you think? Real or fake? That one's real. Slappy's Nightmare. Real. Slappy Bar Mitzvah. Oh, fake. That's a fake. You got that one right. I Am Slappy's Second Cousin. I like that one. Actually, I should write that one, shouldn't I? That's a fake. I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. That's a real one. Slappy Birthday. That's a real one. How about this one? What do you think? Real or fake? Diary of a Dummy. Real. And I just told you, number 10 is My Friend Slappy. That's the newest Goosebumps book, and that one is real. How did you do? Did you get a lot of them right? Well, I hope so. I'm so happy to be able to do a Halloween party for everybody. I don't normally get to do this. This is really fun for me. I hope you will enjoy it. I'm going to read a story to you now, a ghost story that I've never read to anyone. This is a story I recently wrote, but I've never read this story, and you'll be the first ones to hear it. It's called The Ghost in Sam's Closet. Ghosts have feelings too. No one ever stops to think about that. You mention a ghost and people say, ooh, scary, and that's it. Ghosts have feelings, and they have worries and fears. Sometimes I get the cold shakes. Sometimes I start to shiver just thinking about myself. Sometimes I have this sick feeling in my stomach, even though I haven't eaten in years. If it was my choice, I never would have become a ghost. My life is dark and lonely and silent, and I have no one to complain about it to. I can't float over to Sam, sit down beside him, and discuss my feelings with him. He would freeze and gasp and choke and scream his head off, and I wouldn't blame him. Ooh, scary. I'm scary. Ghosts are scary. I don't have to tell you that, but I do have to tell you something that maybe you never thought about. Ghosts are here for a reason. I'm lurking here in the back of Sam's closet night after night for a reason. Sure, I'd like to move on. I'd like to leave this place and take my journey to the great beyond, but I can't. Ghosts remain on Earth for a reason. They can't move on because they have unfinished business. They have something they must do before they can fly away and join the universe. Bet you never thought about that. Well, I have. I think about it day and night. I huddle here in the back of this dark closet and I think. It's hot in here and cramped and it doesn't smell too good. Sam tosses his dirty clothes on the closet floor. And right now, there's a mountain of sweaty t-shirts and socks and smelly jeans that I'm gazing at. So why am I here? What is my mission? I think I know. I'm here because I was too timid in my life, too quiet, too polite and kind, too shy and soft-spoken. So my mission is to terrify Sam. I'm here to scare him and make him scream, to frighten him so badly he jumps out of his pajamas, runs out of the house, and goes screaming down the street, or something like that. I'm sure that's why I'm hiding in here night after night, waiting for the right moment. Poor Sam, I admit it, I feel for the kid. He's a total coward. I mean, he's a wimp, a fraidy cat, a chicken, a trembling, whimpering, nervous Nellie. Sam is such a coward, he sleeps with a nightlight on. Can you imagine? Of course, the joke is on him. The nightlight will only help him see me better when I come roaring out of this closet, growling and snarling, clenching both hands, ready to grab him by the throat. The dim light from the nightlight down near the floor will make me even more frightening. I'll be so scary, I'll have to be careful not to frighten myself. Ha! How old is Sam? He's at least 8 or 9, and he still calls for his parents from bed at night. Mom, Dad, there's a monster under my bed. Poor guy. He's so confused. I'm a ghost, not a monster, and I'm not under his bed. Why would I flatten myself into a cramped space like that? Why would anyone wait under the bed when there's a whole closet to hide in? Sam's parents always come running to calm him down. They pull up the bed covers and search under the bed. Then they make him look. No monster under there. They never look in the closet. There's no such thing as monsters, Sam's dad always says. He's probably right. But Sam believes in monsters. Does he believe in ghosts? We'll soon find out, because I'm tired of waiting here. I think it might be time for action. I can do this. I know I can. Yes, I was quiet and shy in life, but now the time has come to prove myself. Time to move on to the next big step for me. I push the closet door open just a crack. I peer out into Sam's room. It's late at night. The room is dark except for the dim green glow of the nightlight. Sam is lying on his side, the covers pulled up to his chin. He's not asleep yet. I stick my head out. I take a deep breath. I need to build up my courage. This is my big moment. I've been waiting so long. Here I come, Sam. Get ready to scream. I can feel my own excitement. It's like an electric current shooting through my whole ghostly body. Here I come. I burst out through the closet door, into the room, into the glow of the green light. I open my mouth to scream. I dive forward, my hands curling and uncurling like claws, reaching for my victim. I can see his eyes go wide. Does he see me? I run past the tall mirror on the wall. Oh, wait. I stop. I glance into the mirror. I can see myself. Wait, oh no, something is wrong. Something is terribly wrong. Is that me? Is that what I look like? I don't look scary. I know, that can't be me, can it? I look like a little pig. I'm a piglet. I don't believe it. I'm adorable. No way. I'm an adorable little piglet. I waited all this time, and I'm an adorable piglet. Oink, oink. I can only oink. How will that scare Sam? This won't work. This is all wrong. I have to think. I have to rethink the whole thing. I turn and scramble back to the closet. Oh no, the closet door closed. I can't get back. Where should I go? What if he sees me? Hey, who's laughing? Is that Sam? Yeah, it's Sam. He's sitting up in bed now. Hey, what's so funny? Shut up. Shut up. What's so oinking funny? That's my story. The Ghost in Sam's Closet. I hope you enjoyed it. I love the silent ovation. Thank you very much. Actually, I enjoyed it. I like that story. I'll have to do something with it sometime. No one's ever seen it. How many of you have ever seen a ghost? No, a real, not Casper, not a ghost on TV. How many of you have ever seen a real ghost? Well, I might have seen a ghost when I was a kid. I don't know. I'm going to tell you a true story that happened to my brother Bill and me when we were kids back in Ohio. And you decide, maybe we saw a ghost, maybe we didn't. It was Halloween time, and Bill and I were very excited because it was the first year we were allowed to go out trick-or-treating without our parents, just by ourselves. And we were very excited about this. We both dressed up as ghosts. We put sheets on and cut out eye holes. And we got big shopping bags to carry all the candy that we were going to trick or treat. And Bill and I stepped out of the house. It was a cold October night. The ground was all crunchy hard from frost. The air, it was that kind of cold air that clung to the back of your neck. And we started walking down the driveway. We always started trick-or-treating at Mrs. Dawson's house across the street. But tonight, her house was completely dark. "I don't think she's home, Bob," my brother said. "I think we have to go on without her." So we did. We started down the block and we went, we were very poor. I lived in a very poor neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. And the houses were all really close together, which were no big lawns. It was great for Halloween because it meant we could hit a lot of houses all the way down. And Bill and I walked down 3 or 4 blocks collecting candy. Then we came back on the other side of the street collecting candy. And by the time we got back, our bags were just bulging with candy bars. And I looked across the street and there was a light on in Mrs. Dawson's front window across the street. I said, "Bill, I think she's home now. Let's go over there." So Bill and I went up to her house and we climbed up on her front stoop. And I left out one important part of this. We brought along with us these cans of silly string. You know that stuff? You push the can and this white string pours out. And we brought those under our costumes just in case we had to string somebody. Anyway, we walked up onto her porch and I knocked on the door. She didn't come. I knocked again. We waited. No Mrs. Dawson. I rang the doorbell and I knocked even harder. Silence. She didn't come to the door. And Bill said, "She's in there, Bob. Go ahead, string her." So I took out my can of silly string and I raised it to her door, and I was about to press the button when I stopped. There had been a yellow jack-o'-lantern in the front window, a big grinning yellow jack-o'-lantern that we saw when we came up the driveway. But now I looked in the front window and the jack-o'-lantern wasn't yellow anymore. It was bright red, this bright scarlet red, and it wasn't smiling. It had this horrible scowl on its face. And I dropped the can. I said, what's going on here? I dropped the can of silly string, and Bill and I jumped off the front porch and we went running down the driveway. We were halfway down the drive when Mrs. Dawson's front door swung open. And she stepped out, and I remember she was in this long gray nightgown. I remember her long gray nightgown fluttering in the wind, fluttering in the wind. And she said, "Why did you wake me? Why did you wake me?" And I said, "Oh, Mrs. Dawson, I'm really sorry. I didn't know you were sleeping. I really apologize, but I have to ask you one question. How did you do that with your jack-o'-lantern? How did you change your jack-o'-lantern like that?" And she said, "Jack-o'-lantern? I don't have a jack-o'-lantern." And Bill and I looked in the front window. It was completely dark. There was nothing there. So We ran across the street. We didn't know what to think. We ran to our room. We divided up all the candy. We poured it out on the floor. We divided, and we never said a word. We didn't say a word about Mrs. Dawson or the jack-o'-lantern in the window. But then the next morning, I woke up before school, and I thought, I really should go apologize to her. That wasn't right last night. I really should go apologize to Mrs. Dawson. So I had breakfast, and I got dressed for school, and I walked outside, and I crossed the street, and there was a big truck in her driveway, and all these men were moving in and out of her house from this big truck. I thought, what's going on here? I walked up to one of the workers, and I said, what's going on? And he said, well, I guess you're getting new neighbors, kid. I said, why? What do you mean? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't you hear? Mrs. Dawson died a week ago. That's my true ghost story. What do you think? Do you think we were seeing a ghost? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think maybe I made up part of that true story? Do you think maybe I made up a lot of that true story? I mean, that's what I do for a living, right? I make up true stories about ghosts. Anyway, that's my story. That's my Halloween story. I thought one of the nicest thing about being R.L. Stine is the wonderful mail that I get. I just get amazing letters from people, and it's what really makes me happiest. But some of the letters are pretty funny, I think. And I brought some here. I have some letters, and I thought maybe you would like to hear some of the letters that I've received. These are real. I didn't make this up. I didn't make this up at all. These are real letters. Dear R.L. from kids, dear R.L. Stine, I love your books. You're like the scariest man on earth. I want to know everything about you. Do you have hair? Love, Grace. Why do you think she wrote that? I don't know. Why did she ask? Dear R.L. Stine, I don't know if you remember me or not, but when you came to my school, I'm the one who stepped on your foot. I do remember that kid. I remember him very well. Here's a letter I just got a couple weeks ago, okay? Dear R.L. Stine, you are my second favorite author. That's the whole letter. That was it. Talk about keeping you in suspense, right? Dear R.L. Stine, I like your older books. You should write a newer book about an older book, only newer. These are real. This is real stuff. I'm not making, these are real letters. Dear R.L. Stine, I'm not that smart, but I like your books. Dear R.L. Stine, I'm a big fan of your Fear Street books. I've read 21 of them. I've just one question for you. Why do they end without making any sense? Dear R.L. Stine, here's a weird one. This is a very weird letter. Dear R.L. Stine, I like your books, but my passion is taxidermy. I'm 13 and blood is just my thing. I'm not the best at sports, but skinning, fleshing, and stuffing is my favorite thing. That's a good one, right? Dear R.L. Stine, I didn't like the ending to Horrorland number 8. Do you have an alternate ending you can send me? Here's another weird one, I think. Dear R.L. Stine, in the 18th book of Goosebumps Horrorland, the character you wrote about described me perfectly before I got my haircut. Did you possibly see me somewhere and get the idea for that character from my appearance? This one I don't get. Dear R.L. Stine, I'm your biggest fan. I read your books so much, I need my parents to escort me to the bathroom. Really don't get that one at all, do you? Maybe you've heard me. Well, here's a nice one I got from a parent. This is from an adult, okay? This is a new one. Dear R.L. Stine, I had almost every book by you. I kept them forever because I hoped my daughter would have read them. Sadly, she said she didn't want them, so I sold them off. Why do you think she wanted to share that with me? Why she sold them off? Maybe you've heard me tell my all-time favorite letter. This is a favorite letter I've gotten of all time from a boy. Dear R.L. Stine, I've read 40 of your books, and I think they're really boring. It's perfect, right? Perfect letter. Well, I understand that a lot of you have questions for me, and I'd love to answer them. I'd like to hear what's on your mind. I hope you've enjoyed this part, and now let's talk about what you want to know about. What do we have? What kind of questions?
I loved your stories. Those were a lot of fun, and you've gotten lots of comments to the side about people who are wanting.
You didn't believe that ghost story, did you?
I did.
Did you?
You?
I did.
I feel bad when kids believe that story.
All right.
Whenever I tell it with a real audience, it's just greeted at the end, silence, just total silence, always. No reaction of any kind. And I'm always worried that kids believe it because I did make it all up.
Well,
I mean, I
you
do have a brother named Bill, and we did grow up in Ohio. That's about it.
That's it. Well, you had lots of people interacting with your true and false quiz, and lots of fun comments about your stories. But for some of the questions, somebody has asked, why do you think children's horror speaks to so many people?
Oh, I think everyone likes horror. You were telling me horror is selling now. You know, the world is so scary. People need an escape, and mainly an escape where they can feel more comfortable. No, I think everyone, every age, likes a good, scary story. And I think kids like Goosebumps because they know it's going to be scary, but it's never going to go too far. There'll be a lot of creepy adventures and twists and turns, and there's always a happy ending. It always ends very happily and nice. And I think that's one reason. The other reason is I have this one really strict rule. This is a serious answer. About Goosebumps. And that is, when you read a Goosebumps book, you have to know that it couldn't really happen. What happens in the book could never really happen. And if kids know that, then I can get pretty scary. I can go pretty far with the scares. But I want them to know that it couldn't really, I don't really want to terrify them. Just want to scare them a little bit.
Will you bring back monster blood? Is a question that we've gotten from a couple of people.
Good question. The next Goosebumps is called Monster Blood is Back.
Excellent.
It's coming out early next year.
Wow.
All right.
Excellent question. Yeah, Monster Blood is back, and some kids in this book sneak it into a cooking show.
That will be a great one. So, all right, great.
Pretty good one.
Tammy Yee says, please write more Fear Street. What can you tell us about more Fear Street?
Here's what I can tell you about Fear Street. We filmed 3 Fear Street movies. They're all filmed.
Wow.
They were supposed to open in movie theaters this summer, but of course there were no movie theaters. So they're not. They're all going to be on Netflix next summer, all 3 Fear Street movies. And I think they're really creepy. Netflix is calling it the Summer of Fear. And all 3 movies are going to be around next summer. So there'll be a lot of Fear Street next year.
Someone wants to know, did you get inspiration from Picture of Dorian Gray on the evil/good nature of Haunted Mask? Wow.
I read that story in school and I enjoyed it, but I didn't really think of it when I was doing the Haunted Mask. I actually did start the way I told you, with my son putting on this Frankenstein mask and not being able to get it off. And that was really the whole inspiration. And I thought, I was a very timid kid. I was like Carly Beth. I was very fearful and a very timid kid. And I always wanted to be scary at Halloween. Actually, I used something else that happened to me in real life in this book. When I was a kid, I wanted to be scary for Halloween. And my parents went out to buy costumes for my brother and me. And they came back and they handed me the box of the costume. And I was so excited. What was I going to be? Was I going to be a devil? Was I going to be a pirate, a mummy? And I opened up the box and the costume was a fuzzy yellow duck. They bought me a duck costume. And I had to be, we were very poor, as I said, and I had to wear this costume every year. I couldn't get a new one. And I had to be a fuzzy yellow duck. And I put that in the book. That's in The Haunted Mask. Carly Beth, her mother, buys her a duck costume, just like what happened to me.
Jack Lawson, age 10, says, where does the idea for the Goosebumps Horrorland series come from?
Well, I'm the world's biggest Disney World freak. I love Disney and I love the parks. And once we had a Goosebumps attraction at Disney World for a year. We had Goosebumps Horrorland at Disney World. It was a really exciting time for me. But I always loved theme parks. And I thought, what if there was an evil one? What if there was a theme park just designed to scare you? That's all it was about, was scaring you. And that's how Horrorland got started.
Melissa Flores says, what advice would you give young writers right now?
I never give advice. I don't give.
All right.
No, I will tell you. Let me tell you. When I was 9 years old, you mentioned this. I found this typewriter. I dragged it into my room, and I'd be in my room typing for hours, typing stories, typing joke books, typing funny. I was this weird kid. I just stayed in my room typing all the time. And my parents didn't understand it at all. My mother would stand outside my door and she'd say, "What's wrong with you? Stop typing, go outside and play." Worst advice I ever got. Stop typing, right? And she'd say, "Stop, go outside." And I'd say, "It's boring out there." Type, 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 type. I just loved it. I can't tell you why I liked it so much, but here I am doing it all this time later. So I think if you're a kid and if you really want to be a writer, if you know you want to write, you're going to be like me. And you don't need somebody to say, "Oh, write all the time. Be sure to write every day." You don't need someone to tell you that because that's what you like to do. And you don't need someone to say, "Read a lot, read out," because you're reading already. The only real advice that I have to, not just for kids, but for adults who want to write, is enjoy it. That's my only advice, because, well, how many authors come to your bookstore or make appearances for your store and they talk about how hard it is to write? How many of them? They talk about, "Oh, it's so hard to write. It's hard. You have to write." I hate that, because if you're starting out, you don't want to think that way. You want to think, "This is so much fun. Look, I get to create characters. I get to create a whole world. Look how much fun I'm having." And you do much better if you have that attitude and don't think about how hard it is to write.
There's a lot of information. We've had quite a few authors talk about, if anything, they were struggling readers and that they had a really tough time sometimes at school and they were not the best students. So we find some of our favorite authors have some of the biggest struggles.
That's interesting. Interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Somebody wants to know, when is Goosebumps Gold going to come out? We've got multiple questions. Never.
Leave me alone with Goosebumps Gold. Leave me alone. It's never coming out. It was never done. Back in the day, we had this idea to relaunch Goosebumps and to call it Goosebumps Gold. And this was like, how many? 15 years ago, maybe? And we came up with a couple titles and a couple covers were done. But then we decided not to do it. And those books were never written. They're never published. They never happened. And now everywhere I go, where's Goosebumps Gold? 15 years later, where's Goosebumps? There is no Goosebumps Gold. It doesn't exist. It's not there. Forget it.
Well, We will try to help you spread that message because that's a
Thank
question
you.
that showed up about 12 times tonight.
So old? Where do you even find out about it?
All right, what's another one? What is your favorite Halloween movie?
I don't know. I don't think I have one. Let me tell you my favorite scary movie. Okay, this is be more interesting to adults, I think, because my favorite scary movie is very old. My favorite scary movie is an old black and white film from 1932, and it's called Island of Lost Souls. And it's about this explorer, this man who's shipwrecked, and he finds himself on an island. And the island is controlled by a man named Dr. Moreau. And Dr. Moreau has a mission in life. He's taking animals off the island and experimenting on them and trying to turn them into humans. And most of his experiments are horrible, hideous failures. And these poor animals end up totally freakish, horrible. And he's trying to turn them into humans. And it's a fabulous, scary old movie. But I will tell you that when this film came out in 1932, audiences threw up in their seats. That's how upset they were. They found it so upsetting. Today, you wouldn't think that. But yeah, that really happened. And for adults, this is a really creepy movie. Island of Lost Souls.
All right, she might check it out. It doesn't sound like my type of movie. Nicholas Head wants to know, are we going to see a Chicken sequel?
I don't know. Well, that might be a good idea. Thank you, Nicholas. Listen, I need all the help I can get here.
That was another.
I just signed on to do 6 more Goosebumps books. I'm going to. This is 28 years of Goosebumps. I'm going to be 102. I'm still going to be writing these. Where am I going to be sending them from? I don't know.
A question was, have you ever written a book based on a suggestion from a fan?
Never.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because the reader's suggestions are much more gruesome than I would ever do. They're disgusting. Kids' imaginations are so much more disgusting than mine. No, it's true. They go a lot farther and things I would never do. No, I've never done a kid suggestion.
Can you share with us the age order of Slappy and siblings? Mr. Wood is the oldest. How about the others?
Please give me a break with Mr. Wood. He was only in one book. He was in the first book. I can't answer that. I have no idea. Mr. Wood, I was writing that book, the very first one, Night of the Living Dummy, because I'd always been fascinated with puppets and dummies. I had puppets when I was a kid, and I had marionettes, and I had a ventriloquist dummy when I was a kid. I always just thought they were interesting. But I started writing that book about Mr. Wood, and then halfway through it, I thought of Slappy. I thought of him later. So then he appears, and then Slappy sort of took over. But I think I've written 14 Slappy books. I think there are 14 of them. I even killed him once. I wrote The Ghost of Slappy, but I had to bring him back.
A couple of people have asked, and you just sort of said, like, it seemed like it just came to you. How did you get the idea for Slappy?
It's hard to say. As I said, I was always fascinated with puppets and dummies when I was a kid. And I think on television, there's this old British movie called Dead of Night. It's old black and white. It has 3 horror stories. And one of them is about a ventriloquist who's on stage and his dummy comes to life. And it ruins his life. I think the dummy takes over the act. And I think that must have lingered in my brain. It stayed back in my brain. And then later on, Rod Serling did a Twilight Zone with the same story about a ventriloquist and finds out that his dummy is alive. And I'm a big Rod Serling fan. I never missed that show. And Rod Serling was a very big influence on me. So Slappy probably comes from those two things.
You mentioned a little bit that there's going to be a summer of scare and the Goosebumps. Do you get much input into the TV series or the movies? A couple of people have asked.
Yeah, people always ask me what my input was on the Goosebumps movies. I had none. No one wants the author around. They want to do their own movie. They don't want you hanging around. And it's really true. Well, I got so lucky with the two Goosebumps movies because they're good. They're actually good. They didn't have to be. They might not have been. A lot of movies are bad, right? But I got very lucky with that. Here's my only input in Goosebumps. I got them to remove 2 Stephen King jokes. I got them to take out 2 jokes. And that was my whole contribution. But I'm very proud of the Goosebumps movie, and we had a great time with Jack Black. What a weird thing to be a character in the movie, to have Jack Black play you. That's a very strange thing, right? And we had a great time. He's a wonderful person, and we had a lot of fun together. We're like twins, right, Jack and me?
Yes.
What do you think?
You mentioned Stephen King. Rose Michelle wants to know, are you and Stephen King frenemies?
No, of course not. I remember I only met him once. I'm Stephen King for kids, right? And for 30 years, I'd never met him. He's always in Maine. He's always up in Maine. And then once it was the Edgar Awards, the Mystery Writer Awards, and he was there, and I went over and we had a wonderful talk. We had a great talk. It's the only time I've ever met him. He accused me of taking every amusement park plot, of using all the plots up for amusement parks and not leaving any for anyone else. That was kind of funny. But no, we had a great time, and I'm a big Stephen King fan. I will tell you the truth. I think Pet Sematary is one of the scariest books I ever read, and an amazing plot. I love the plot to that book. And I think I've stolen it at least 4 or 5 times. That's how much I like it, right?
Harry wants to know, when you wrote Goosebumps, a shocker on Shock Street, why did you choose a praying mantis out of all the bugs in the world? Because he loves praying mantises.
Yeah, because a huge praying mantis would be terrifying. They're so bony and sticks. They're like sticks, and the idea of an enormous praying mantis standing up to me was very scary.
Lots of people want to know, what was your favorite book to write, or can you even pick one?
I'm very proud of The Haunted Mask, as I said. And I have one that I really like that just came out this year that I was very pleased with. They can't all be great, right? This one is called They Call Me the Night Howler. And it's a comic about a comic book one. I'm a real comic book fan. I'm even writing graphic novels now. My new graphic novel, Just Beyond series, just came out this week. It's called Welcome to Beast Island. I mean, I love comic books. This Goosebumps book is about a boy who loves comics, and his parents take him to a museum for superheroes. It's a superhero and comic book art museum. And he wanders around, and he's so happy to be in this museum. And he runs into a superhero named the Night Howler. And the Night Howler is in this back room. He's pulling off his costume. And he says, "I've had it. I'm sick of this. There's no money in this. I'm having a terrible time. I don't want to be the Night Howler anymore." And he takes off his costume and he hands it to the boy. And he says, "Go ahead, you be the Night Howler now." And now he's stuck being the Night Howler. And I honestly think this, They Call Me the Night, I think this may be the best Goosebumps book I've written in about 10 years. I was very happy with it. You're not always that happy with them. But in fact, I even bragged about it. I talked about how I thought this was the best one in 10 years.
Well, people are very excited about the graphic novels. We've had lots of excitement around those. So that's
Good.
We're excited about
It's
that.
a lot of fun for me doing this
Our-
because I love comics so much when I was a kid. I actually wanted to be a comic book artist. I wanted to be an illustrator. And when I was in 4th grade, I did little comic books. I drew. I had this superhero character named Super Stooge. He was a real dumb superhero. He would like fly head first into brick buildings. And I drew this comic and I would bring it in to pass it around, to kids. And every one of them, they say, Bob, your drawing sucks. You can't draw. You can't draw at all. And I looked around and they were right. I couldn't draw. They could all draw better than me. So I went home. I realized I had to be a writer.
We've got a few more questions and then we'll announce the big winner of the costume contest. So you were talking about superheroes. Bob wanted to know, Attack of the Mutants is one of his favorites. Was there a certain superhero that inspired you to write that book?
No, I wanted to do a comic book. I like that one too. And the TV show based on Attack of the Mutant turned out really nice, I think. I like that one. No, I wanted to do a comic book one, and that was the one I did. Oh, I'm glad you like that book. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yair wants to know, or says, my favorite book is I Live in Your Basement. It's a lot scarier than the rest, I think. What was your inspiration for that one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Basements are scary, right? Basements are scary. I don't remember. I don't know what that is.
Well, we have lots and lots of comments that this has been the best Halloween for people being stuck indoors, and lots of thanks and gracious and gratitude. And I think Stephanie, who's behind the scenes working with us, has pulled up the winner. We might have seen a sneak peek of it. Stephanie, if you can pull up the winner. Lots. It was hard to choose a winner, but it is Peyton for her Marie Antoinette. And so we're going to see that just a little bit larger. But it was tough picking.
Talk about gruesome.
So,
that's wonderful. Congratulations.
So Peyton is going to get a personalized copy of My Friend Slappy. And we will make sure to connect with her. And then for all of a lot of other people who've ordered books through us, I think we're getting the book plates we had a limited amount. Those are going to be here sometime this week. Right. And we'll take a couple more questions and then let everybody get back to their Halloween.
Nice. So, I love that costume. That is really clever.
Yeah. That was really good. 2 people have asked, what Goosebumps series was your favorite to work on?
Oh, I like them all. They're all the same.
Okay.
They just have different names. I like them all. I've done, how many have I done? Maybe 150 of them? That's crazy, right? You have to be nuts to write that many books.
Well,
I love it so much. I still look forward to getting up in the morning and starting in. I'm going to start another one. I just finished one called 5th Grade Zombies. And this next week, I'm starting a Goosebumps book called Judy and the Beast.
Oh, I like that one.
That's a good title, right? I don't have a good story for it, but it's a really good title.
How many hours a day do you work on your writing?
No, not that much, 3 or 4. I write 10 pages a day, and then I quit. No matter where I am. I could be in the middle of a sentence. I hit 2,000 words, I'm out of there.
Done.
It's like factory work. But I try to do 10 pages a day.
All right. Well, I think we're getting ready to wrap up. Do you have any closing remarks for these fans? We've had the hugest turnout tonight, and we've just been thrilled to spend part of our evening with you.
I wanted to do this. I wanted to do Halloween for people who are inside, and this turned out to be so much fun. And I'm so glad we did it.
The Novel Neighbor.
Thanks to everybody. Thank you. Stay scary, everyone.
Sorry for interrupting. I was going to say the Novel Neighbor thanks you, and I was encouraging everybody you were talking about your favorite local bookstore in Ohio that you've kind of worked with, and we'll encourage everybody to support your local independent bookstores, to find your favorite R.L. Stine books, because now is the time to shop local, support local. And I think you did have a closing word that I interrupted, so I'm sorry. I'll let you close us out.
No, I just said happy Halloween. Stay scary, everybody.
Thank you so much.